This is The Sports Life.
If Michigan State converts, the Spartans win. Childs went in the gun. Now he's going to go under center. Brings in the receivers close to the line. Belling in motion left to right. Play action. Rolling right. Looking across now to the near side. Omari Kelly. Yes! Touchdown Spartans! Oh my, Omari! And the Spartans storm the field. The players rush from the sideline. 42-40. That's your ball game. Michigan State wins.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with a fired-up Dalton Shetler. Whoa.
What a ball game, huh?
What a ball game. It was unbelievable, no doubt about it. So, here we are. We're getting ready for Week 3 of the Big Ten football season, the first weekend of actually a couple of conference games. And as we look at our show, we are going to take a break and talk a little basketball. We're going to talk about the induction of one of the veteran announcers in the sport of college football, George Blaha, entering his 49th year as a voice of the Michigan State Spartans. And then we're going to go down memory lane with some others who have made their way into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. And if you're going, wait a minute, how did George get into the basketball thing? You just mentioned football. Well, I should mention, for 50 years, he's been the voice of the Detroit Pistons.
It's really cool. That's going to be an awesome tribute to all those Big Ten connections, including George Blaha. Outside of that, we have actual Big Ten versus Big Ten football taking place this week. One of them includes the USC Trojans, who the top scoring outfit in the country. We'll be catching up with Jordan Moore to see what's going so right with USC. And if you take a look in Bloomington, Indiana now, you'll notice there's a bison jumping around on the sidelines. The Hoosiers have a mascot. What is it all about? We'll be catching up with an Associate Athletic Director, Jeremy Gray, there from Indiana University.
Indiana makes the college football playoffs, and now they have a bison.
What's next for the
Did
Hoosiers?
They get permissions from Colorado for this? Huh?
That's a good point.
Okay. Anyway, what do we got for Sounds of the Week?
Well, we mentioned there was an exciting game in East Lansing over the weekend, and head coach Jonathan Smith at his weekly press conference talked a little bit about the game, but he actually was asked about the start of that game. Coming out the tunnel, he doesn't always lead the team out on the field, but for whatever reason, he decided to on Saturday night. Why? Well, this is his answer.
Oh, I just kind of wanted to feel a little bit of the atmosphere leading into it. I mean, there's such a buzz pre-game, and so getting a taste of that. We definitely got our captains out front. If you want to get into the details of it, I'm on the side because I don't want to get trucked as the guys are taking the field. But it was fun to be out in front a little bit.
Will you continue to do that?
It's kind of a game time decision, to be honest with you. We'll see how we're feeling.
A game time decision. Now we're talking football.
That's right. Oh, that's so cool. And, of course, it was such a great moment there at Spartan Stadium. As we mentioned, they defeat Boston College 42-40. But elsewhere in the Big Ten, Illinois kind of had a test this past weekend for a while against the Duke Blue Devils before finally pulling away, getting a big win, and vaulting the Illini into the top 10. What does a top 10 ranking mean for Illinois football? Well, head coach Brett Bielema talked about that at his weekly press conference.
And I thought it kind of came full circle. I had a feeling that you might ask this question today, right? So I thought it was funny. So Josh and I talk pretty much every day, right? He goes, there's something else. And he said it twice, and I brought up some other things, and then he said, oh, yeah. He goes, hey, you're ranked in the top 10. Congrats. And I kind of laughed, and he laughed because, it really wasn't a part of our conversation. I think that kind of just obviously very excited, and it's a lot of great things out there for people to talk about. I know even just that crowd on Saturday, right? But I really do think these guys are all about the game in front of them.
And I wouldn't believe that. Brett Bielema, the head coach of the Fighting Illini of Illinois, ranked 9th in all the land this week. Well, at the end of the day, you got to tip your cap to everybody involved in that football program, because when Brett got there and built his staff, they weren't the 9th best team in America.
I think that's fair to say.
Fair to say. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Live, we're going to talk about a team that's got a great football history, and they may be finding themselves heading into this season. Back to talk USC football in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Every kid deserves a chance to feel safe, to have their own bed, to be loved and cared for. That's why I love my foster parents. They make me feel like part of the family.
Raise hope and foster dreams for one of 13,000 Michigan children in foster care. Visit michigan.gov/hope for a home or call 855-MICH-KIDS. That's 855-MICH-KIDS. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back from the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, one of the teams that was hoping to have a good start has had that. That's the Trojans of Southern Cal. In joining the show to talk about USC is a member of their broadcast team, Jordan Moore. And Jordan, welcome to the program again. And I guess we'll just start off by asking you, been pretty impressive so far, don't you think?
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, listen, the level of competition is not what it's about to be. So, we'll see if it's if these first 2 games are indicative of the season to come. But I can't complain about too much from what you've seen so far. They lead the nation in scoring. Just absolutely annihilated their first 2 opponents. They certainly have shown some real signs of progress on some of the things that needed improvement from last season. And now we'll see if it translates over into Big Ten play.
Well, and for USC, they're coming off of their season-low scoring output of 59 points against Georgia Southern in the past week. I mean, you talk about it, the offense has been tremendous. Why is it working so well?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have a nice balance going right now. I mean, pretty much everything is working. Jade Mayava looks a lot more comfortable in his second year as a starter. He came on and started a handful of games at the end of last season, but had a whole off season to be the guy. Went in as the unquestioned leader of this team and just looks comfortable out there. His decision-making has greatly improved. He's not putting the ball in harm's way at all. He has as good a wide receiver duo as there is in the country. I mean, those 2 guys put on an absolute show on Saturday. Jacoby Lane made a one-handed catch, which I'm sure anyone that watches highlight shows or clips on their phone has seen. And then Mekhi Lemon was maybe even better, just running away from people for 2 explosive touchdowns. So you've got that going in the passing game, and then the run game one thing that Lincoln Riley has done exceptionally well in his time at USC is turn that room over every year and still keep it at an elite level. They've had 4 different starting running backs in 4 years. We didn't really know much about the guys coming in this year, but Wayman Jordan was the number 1 JUCO back in the country. He's come in and is the lead dog, and then they have Eli Sanders, who's an explosive back who transferred over from New Mexico. So running game looks really strong, passing game looks strong. All together, it's put up some big numbers.
Well, maybe let's shift the focus then to the other side of the ball because, there's been a lot of talk that USC, with its potential and the talent of Caleb Williams when he was there under center, that who knows what all USC could have accomplished, but the defense had struggled. What does the defense look like so far?
Yeah, last year they made the switch to Danton Lynn as a defensive coordinator and made a great improvement on that side of the ball, just sort of being more solid, tackling better, being in the right position, fewer busts. The goal this year was to try to make more plays, though. It was not a big-time playmaking defense last year, and so far they have done just that. They have 21 tackles for loss, I believe. They're up there at the top in sacks. So they're doing a much better job of playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. They forced turnovers, had a pick 6 in the first game, more turnovers in game 2. So, again, everything so far so good, but the caliber of offense that they're going to face is about to get a lot more difficult.
Well, and of course that starts with Purdue. You guys actually get the first Big Ten Conference game of the league and the season as Purdue and USC match up here. What is it about Purdue that has caught your attention early on in this contest?
Well, it's a new staff, so it is. They take over the team that finished dead last in the league last year. So I'm sure a rebuilding type season for Purdue, but they're off to a decent start, and there's some connections for USC. The new coach Barry Odom comes over from UNLV, and Jade Mayava was his quarterback at UNLV, so there's a connection there. And then he brings in Josh Henson to be his offense coordinator, and Josh Henson was USC's offensive line coach last year under Lincoln Riley. So some real connections with the staff, and this is the biggest thing for USC. Is that the Trojans did not travel to a Big Ten road win last season. They got a Big Ten road win, but that was at UCLA. That's just a short drive across town. So they got to tick a box here and get on the board in terms of flying to a Big Ten road win. And this is a great opportunity. Can't complain about the weather this time of year, and it's a pretty good flight. But other than that, Purdue is a looks like a good opponent, but I think a beatable opponent. So we'll see if USC can get on the board.
No, I think it's really great perspective to have as you make the trip over to West Lafayette, Indiana. You bring up Lincoln Riley and some of the things getting going here early in the Big Ten slate. I'm curious, from press conferences or interviews, what have you gathered that Lincoln Riley has learned from his time at USC and with 1 year under his belt from the Big Ten Conference that he's looking to grow and improve on as he's into this year 2 of the Big Ten Conference for USC?
Yeah, he's changed a lot in terms of staffs, and lots of things have changed over the course of his 4 years. But I think the biggest thing as it relates to the Big Ten is the size up front. They on the offensive line, they now in year 4 of his system, it's not about just bringing in transfers to plug gaps, which is what it was the first 3 years at times. They now have guys in their system that they were able to develop and under their strength program and have gotten better on that side of the ball. Defensively, though, they went out and got some big dudes. Now they've also developed some bigger dudes, so they're just much physically larger on the defensive line. I think that was the biggest takeaway. There are opponents that we saw last year that just did not have a particular interest in throwing the football. They want to run the ball. They want to limit possessions. They want to slow the game down, keep it close late. And that was sort of game after game for USC last year. And so they'd end up in these 3-point games late, and not many of them went their way. But they were not blown out of any games. So, we're coming over from the Pac-12 where, a lot of games were high possessions, high passing. Lincoln Riley's coming over from the Big 12 where a lot of games were high possession, high passing. And I think that's the biggest adjustment is these low possession football games and being able to make sure that you can stop the run. And I think they feel like they have the pieces in place to be able to do that this season.
We've got just a couple other questions, and we'll get you out of here, Jordan. One of them being, I think if you asked Big Ten fans, word association, what comes to mind when the word USC comes up? They think Rose Bowl and tradition and all the different games in Pasadena that the Big Ten fans have seen against the Trojans throughout time. I'm from an age where it's Matt Leinart, it's Reggie Bush, can picture all of that with USC. The point is, this has been a highly successful program throughout history. What does success look like this year with this edition of the Trojan football team as they try to get back to a standard that's been created throughout many, many years?
Yeah, it's an interesting time for the program because the offseason went incredibly well. They brought in a new GM in Chad Bowden who came over from Notre Dame. And immediately recruiting just took off. And so USC has the number one class in the country, but that's for next year. None of those kids are here. So everyone's excited about the future, but the present needs to be good enough to get to the future is the way I'd say it. So I don't think the expectations this year to, go 11-1 and win the Big Ten. I mean, I think that's always a goal and a hope at USC. But coming off the last two seasons that they've had that haven't been great, I think the arrow just needs to point up on the field to match the arrow off the field, which continues to point up. So, whether that record is, 9-3 or 8-4 or, competing for the playoff or getting into the playoff, something in that area, I think would make everyone feel like the program is in good shape and the future is bright and in good hands. So, who knows how that shakes out. I think USC has a very difficult schedule. So it is hard to look at it and say, oh, yeah, sure, just go 11-1 or 12-0. I mean, at Notre Dame's on the schedule, at Oregon's on the schedule, at Illinois is on the schedule. That's 3 road games against top 12 preseason teams. So I don't know many teams that have a road schedule that difficult, and we know how hard it is to win on the road in college football. So it's going to be hard to be perfect this season, but I do think that there's opportunities to really show great improvement and to sort of get in the mix again, and I think that would satisfy a lot of fans.
Well, Jordan, final question. First road game of the year for you, first conference game of the season, keys to beating Purdue.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think first and foremost is just dealing with stuff that comes on the road. I mean, last year it was a major adjustment dealing with the way games were called, particularly on the road. There's the refs in this league mostly stay out of it, so you're just going to have to play through the physicality. You're going to have to play through the adversity. You can't make the killer mistakes, whether it's penalties. But last year there was like a pick six at the worst time in every road game. I mean, really, USC just shot itself in the foot, and so that I think the Trojans need to get ahead and be in a more comfortable position and not let it just come down to a are you going to get the break at the end of the game? This is a team in Purdue that maybe is on the rise, but probably inferior talent-wise, and USC needs to control that game through 3 quarters so they can be in a position to put the game away in the fourth and not try to hang on.
And Jordan, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks so much.
So there you go, some of the thoughts of Jordan Moore as Southern Cal is hitting the road to take on the Boilermakers of Purdue in the first conference game of the year for both teams. Well, when we come back, we're going to go down memory lane. We're going to talk Hall of Fame action in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
That ought to do it. Totally energy efficient.
Oh, no, not again. This time, we're getting help.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the battle of energy efficiency improvements. In this corner, Mr. I can save money and do it on my own. And in this corner, Miss Let's get it done right with some help. Fight!
Or you could just go to avoidenergydrama.com. From sealing your home to helpful loan options, you'll find all the tips and tools you need to stop wasting energy and stay comfortable. Avoidenergydrama.com. Brought to you by Michigan Saves.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, one of the icon announcers in the Big Ten, George Blaha, entering his 49th year as a voice of Michigan State football, was honored by going into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. As for 50 seasons, he has been the voice of the Detroit Pistons. So we thought just for fun, we'd do a couple of things. One, we'd let you hear some of George's comments. And that kind of got Dalton and I thinking of some of the other greats in the Big Ten that have gone in. So we're going to take a little walk down memory lane.
And we most certainly are. And why don't we start with the man who's most recently going in, as you mentioned, George Blaha. Here's a snippet of his speech.
Being honored with the Hall of Fame's Kurt Gowdy Award is a dream come true for a Detroit-born guy who grew up in central Iowa and in northern Michigan and wanted to be a play-by-play announcer from the time he was 9 or 10 years old. I was sure life in the play-by-play lane would be exciting and rewarding. It's been that and a lot more. I have to thank the man upstairs for blessing me with this opportunity in life, and I thank my parents for their love and encouragement along the way. And, of course, my dear wife, Mary, and my brother Dave for his love and loyalty. I'll start my 50th year broadcasting Detroit Pistons basketball this fall. It has been an awesome ride describing the excitement that the Pistons have brought to the game, the great state of Michigan, and the entire basketball world. And finally, here's to the great game of basketball, from high school to college to the NBA and all around the world. May this great game, invented by Dr. Naismith, never, ever die. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, very, very much.
George Blaha, part of his acceptance speech into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Think about this, Dalton. He's done over 3,400 games, pushing 300 playoff games, and, of course, all 3 NBA championships for the Pistons. That's pretty good.
That seems extensive, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
That's pretty incredible and a well-deserved honor. But as we mentioned, we kind of were thinking about all the other Big Ten connections that are in that Naismith Hall of Fame. So why don't we go back a year to the class of 2024 when Wisconsin Badger head basketball coach, former that is, but certainly a great in his own right, Bo Ryan was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Here's what he had to say.
My dad, Butch, took me everywhere. From the time I was a toddler until I was a teenager. My life with my father revolved around sports, either watching him play or coach, or as a spectator at Chester High School basketball games, or watching the Big Five at the Palestra. Great days. My dad's team, we were always more fundamentally sound than his opponents. He excelled at teaching life through the game, and I have strived to follow his example. Thanks to my dad, Butch, I became hooked on the greatest game of all, and we all know what that is. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it so well, our chief want in life is somebody who can make us do what we can. My father did that with a style that was demanding but fair to all.
Bo Ryan, 14-plus seasons as the head coach of the University of Wisconsin. Man, did he get it rolling up there. But anywhere Bo coached, he won championships. A couple side notes on this one, Dalton. Number one, Bo's a tough guy, right? All these guys are tough guys. Well, can you hear the emotion in his voice there?
Yeah, you most certainly can.
Yeah. And the other thing was interesting. When the Badgers hired him, he was not their first choice. It's good news for them that they didn't get their first choice because they got the right guy.
Yeah, things worked out pretty well for Wisconsin, having Bo Ryan end up being their guy. That's pretty special stuff. Let's go back another year before that. So now we're talking 3 straight years of a Big Ten connection making it into the Naismith Hall of Fame, because in 2023, it was Purdue great Gene Cady finally making his way into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Here is his Hall of Fame speech.
Good evening. I would like to thank the Naismith Hall of Fame Selection Committee for selecting me to be enshrined into the 2023 class. Growing up in Kansas, my parents, Mary and Lloyd, instilled in my sister Norma and I the importance of hard work, loyalty, and family. They showed me firsthand how to love and treat people with respect. In my 25 years as Purdue's head basketball coach, I'm proud to say that we had a graduation rate of 92%. I did not accomplish all of the accolades at Purdue alone. I was surrounded by great people, including, but not limited to, Bruce Weber, Steve Lavin, Kurt Clausen, Glenn Robinson, and Conzo Martin. My greatest joy is seeing the success of my student athlete and former assistant coach, Matt Painter, who has brilliantly continued the legacy of greatness at Purdue basketball. I must mention fellow Big Ten coaching icons and Hall of Fame coaches Bob Knight and Tom Izzo. Bob and Tom were worthy opponents and rivals, but are even better friends. Most importantly, many thanks to my beautiful wife, Kathleen, daughters Lisa and Rachel, and our 11-year-old granddaughter, Zenon, who is quite the basketball player. I've led a blessed life and am humbled to receive this great honor. Remember, always try to do the right thing and play hard. Thank you.
Gene Cady on his acceptance speech into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. If you just saw Gene Cady at a game or on TV, he was always cranky looking, right? Always mad and storming on the sidelines. But one year, and I won't bore you with how this happened, I was in Chicago, and one year I hosted his radio show. So I'm in Chicago. He's in West Lafayette. I've never met him in person, right?
Uh-huh.
And one of the shocks to me was how funny he is. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. And when we would say, okay, here's the phone number to talk to Coach, it would light up. And it was the funniest hour I've ever been through. It was good basketball, good humor, and he truly is one of the great guys.
Yeah, that is really a great story and a much-deserved honor for him to make it into the Naismith Hall of Fame and join this contingency. And you heard him bring up part of that contingency includes Tom Izzo. He went in the class of 2016 for Michigan State. Here's what he had to say during his Hall of Fame speech.
In closing, I'd like to thank the game of basketball. For all of us, it's done so much. It's allowed so many of us to live our wildest dreams and brought joy to so many others. Basketball has been everything to me. I loved it since the 4th grade when I used to shovel off my aunt's driveway just so I could shoot hoops. Those of you that didn't live in the UP, there was a lot of shoveling. Through basketball, I've met presidents, played on aircraft carriers, been on the 50-yard line and played in front of the world's largest crowd. The memories of playing on an air base in Germany and coaching our troops in Kuwait will last a lifetime. The 7 Final Fours and national championship are just frosting on the cake. More importantly, basketball has taught me and teaches us all so many important lessons that we carry on into all aspects of life. Basketball is the ultimate team game, where we learn the value of teamwork, a group of individuals focused on a common goal. I say that a player-coach team is always better than a coach-coach team, meaning that when the players have the ultimate buy-in, only then is it possible to win championships. Basketball can be humbling. It's taught me to laugh, to celebrate in victory, but it's also taught me how to cry and handle defeat with class. It's taught me how to overcome adversity and how to get up after getting knocked down. For a small-town guy from the UP of Michigan, where we have 11 months of winter and 1 month of poor sledding, tonight, other than the birth of my children, is the proudest and greatest achievement of my life. I've always been a dreamer, and I tell my players to dream big, but I never, and I mean never, allowed myself to dream of this humbling honor. The individuals being enshrined tonight and the ones who are in the hall represent everything I've always believed in. And to have the honor while I'm still coaching has given me a new goal for whatever years I have left. That is to live up to the honor that you bestowed on me tonight. So thank you to all that have helped me get here. Thank you to all the Hall of Fame members. Congratulate to my class, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Tom Izzo, 2016, his induction speech. Part of it? Well, number one, Dalton, the joke about the 1 month of bad sledding, I've heard that thing a million times. It never gets old. But he's entering his 31st season at Michigan State as an assistant under Judd Heathcote. That means he's been in one spot over 40 years. That's amazing. But think about this. 27 straight NCAA tournament appearances, now 8 Final Fours, of course, the national title. Nobody in the Big Ten has won more games than he has at one school, either non-conference overall or conference games. But we all know the brutal schedules, and we also know how hard the Big Ten is. He's going into this year having won almost 71% of his games. Are you kidding me? With that schedule he plays? Wow.
It's simply amazing. And you hear that speech, and he says, for whatever years I have left, that was 9 years ago. I mean, it's really incredible to think about all the success he's had. And you brought up Judd Heathcote. He has as well throughout that speech. Judd, also a member of the Naismith Hall of Fame. We should tip our cap to that as well. But as we keep going through the chronological order of years, let's go to the class of 2009, where on the women's side, Vivian Stringer was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. She had a great testimony about why this means so much for women's sports.
But the one thing that bothered me is I love this game called basketball, but I couldn't understand why I was not allowed to play, because Monday through Thursday I would work out with the guys, teaching them all the things that they need to do. But then on Fridays, they were the ones that put the uniforms on. And I just remember thinking to myself, how fair is this? So I decided the only way I could get even close to this game was for me to actually become a cheerleader. Now, for those of you who know me, that's not my thing. 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? No, that's not me. I'm not a cheerleader. But I at least had enough sense to know that I could get close enough to the sidelines or close enough to the ends line if they would allow me to get a little close. So that's what I did. And so I remember getting close, and I would say to, Bobby, get your head down, get your knees up, man, follow the blockers. Jeez, drive a little harder. Or to my brother Tim or Teapot, make the extra pass. Don't you see the guys free underneath? And I would just shake my head and be so sad. But it was my passion. You see, at that time, there was a place for girls. And that place meant that there was no way that she could imagine that she could do anything else other than to be that cheerleader. So I'd like to thank God now for Title IX, because now young girls and women can play.
Vivian Stringer, 3 stops in her head coaching career, 1 at Iowa, where she had a great run with the Hawkeyes, ended up at Rutgers. Think about this, Dalton. The first coach in the NCAA history to lead 3 different programs into the Final Four. That's really something. 1,055 wins. That makes her 4th all-time. And we mentioned Izzo with this great winning percentage. Hers ended at 71.2%.
I mean, that's simply incredible. And what a great testimony she shares there with her experience and the growth of the game. Let's get to our last one that we're highlighting here as a part of this segment. A class of 1991 inductee for the Naismith Hall of Fame, the late Bob Knight. Bob Knight, of course, was a legend at Indiana, winning 3 national titles. We all know the book on Bob Knight, but let's bring you a piece of his Hall of Fame speech, again from 1991.
The rewards in coaching are not tied to wins and losses and championships. I don't think any of us that have truly enjoyed and loved to coach would ever feel that that's what our ultimate reward is, a win or a championship. Rather, I would like to think that coaches would feel as I do. Watching a former player coach a team to a national championship, building that team as the team should be built, through honest recruiting, excellent teaching, and an interest in the best things for those players. A player like Mike Krzyzewski at Duke this year, who I coached in Army. I think that
Bobby Knight, part of his induction speech to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 1991. When Bobby Knight retired, he was the winningest all-time coach. Now Coach K is. And you mentioned Krzyzewski in his speech there. Okay, quick story, Dalton. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay, the last time I interviewed Bobby Knight, last time I talked to Coach Knight, it was for a pregame interview. And he always told me, Will, if you want to talk to me, just call me directly. And I did. So he said, meet me in the tunnel at 2 o'clock. How many questions? And I went 3. 3 questions. Okay. So here comes the 3rd question, and he hung the answer. He hung it. I had to ask, what do you mean? And he goes, nope, that's 4. and he just started laughing. Anyway, a great trip down memory lane with some of the most wonderful people ever involved in the game of basketball. Well, when we come back, we're going to revisit some Indiana news, a new mascot. Back with more in a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad, did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, earlier this summer, news came from Bloomington that Indiana was going to have a mascot. And joining us on the show is Associate AD at Indiana University, Jeremy Gray. And Jeremy, can you just tell us what is going on here with this mascot talk?
Well, Indiana was one of a very small number of schools in the Big Ten that did not have a mascot. And over the course of Indiana's over 130-year athletic history, they have tried mascots at various junctures, and they have failed for a variety of reasons. But we figured it was time to bring one back. It was time to have one. And so this fall, we have introduced our new mascot, Hoosier the Bison. A lot of people, especially not from Indiana, can't quite get the bison connection, but if you look at the state seal of the state of Indiana, there's a bison on it. The buffalo trace, which is where bison migrated in the early years of the Republic, goes directly through Bloomington, Indiana. And it was actually the mascot from 1965 to 69. And if you walk around campus, you'll see little bison iconography in various pockets. Our ROTCs, the Bison Battalion, Nick's English Hut, which is the iconic bar in town, maintains the old bison mascot, and we just figured it was a good time to do it. And so at our first football game, it skydived into the stadium, and it's, I think, here to stay. It's been a big hit.
I was going to say, it's a way to make a splash. Just saw the parachute with the bison mascot dropping down into the stadium. You know, there's so many cool parts about this story, but you mentioned that a lot of people have been kind of confused or had questions about Bison, Indiana, how, why. A lot of people that I talk to in my life know I'm from Indiana, and they ask, what's up with the Bison and what's a Hoosier? I get those questions a lot, and being from Indiana, I don't always have the answer. So can you go in further detail about what the connection is between those and what those answers are?
So bison were native to the land in the early years of settlement. If you look at the state seal, there's a guy with an axe chopping a piece of wood with a bison jumping over it. So it was part of the early branding of the state, if you will, with the state seal. And it kind of coursed through Indiana University's history at various times because it was the regiment here, the ROTCs, the Bison Battalion. You'll see little bison logos throughout campus. From 65 to 69, they did have a Bison mascot. It was a poorly constructed suit, so bad, in fact, that a cheerleader had to bring the guy in the suit onto the field with a leash because he couldn't see out of the eye holes with the oversized head. So it just was not a very practical mascot. And we were not successful in basketball in that time, which was the bellwether sport for the university at that time. And so it just kind of went away. But now it's come back. And I think it's a hit for a variety of reasons. One, a lot of the interest in bringing the Bison back was directed by fans themselves rather than this being a top-down decision by the university to add it. There were fan groups dedicated to it. The student government voted to have the mascot return and be the Bison. It's also kind of a tough animal, so I think it looks great and it's a good representation. And you mentioned people not being able to define what a Hoosier is. I don't think that this solves that conundrum. But Hoosier, maybe in some states, is seen as a bit of a pejorative. And there's old Big Ten mascot pictures from like the 70s and 80s where because IU didn't have a mascot, they would have like the list of mascots that we would put on a poster. And Indiana's would be a barefoot man with a straw hat with holes in his pants. And it's like, is that really what we want representing us? And I think the answer is no. And either you define yourself or others will define you. And I think having Hoosier the Bison here will be a good thing for the branding elements of the university.
I think you're spot on with that. That's a really interesting point. And you mentioned something there that this wasn't just an initiative from the top down of the athletic department and the university that was kind of pushed onto people. There actually was, and you alluded to it, the student government being involved, and they started the Bring Back the Bison Act, which passed in December of 2024. What inspired the students to put this together and bring to you, and how neat is it that this came directly, organically from the student body?
Yeah, so there were a couple of elements that all kind of converged into one. So there was a faculty member named Paul Gutierrez about 5 years ago started Bring Back the Bison, and he'd pass out T-shirts and little foam bison mascots out in the parking lot of football games, trying to engender support for this. Then there was an apparel company called Home Field that actually put the retro bison on a T-shirt and just sold like crazy. So that really initiated some early interest in bringing back the Bison. But then we had this highly successful football season that came out of nowhere last year. And with AI graphics, it would be, they would have a chain smoking because of Signetti Bison stomping on, a Spartan after beating Michigan State, or a chain smoking Bison knocking, the Washington Husky to the ground or the Nebraska Cornhusker to the ground. And all of our fans started getting behind this idea. And then we saw game day here, and Lee Corso in his last season, our former coach, picks Indiana to beat Washington. And we don't have anything to put on his head other than an IU baseball cap. And we kind of saw that was a missed opportunity. And that the idea of bringing back the Bison started to become more appealing for the department and the university itself. And then when the student government just kind of pushed this over the top, we're like, we got to do this. And so we started designing the suit, and we had drawings and all that kind of stuff that got here in early spring. The first suit arrived in about June, and we had a video series kind of tease that we were doing the mascot. And then it's unveiling in the fall. So it all just kind of worked together.
It really is beautiful when you think about it, Jeremy. But, the other thing, too, besides all of this coming together, you mentioned that fans were wearing some of this. And you see this across the Big Ten Conference. Retro logos, insignia, they're back in a big way. And a lot of fans are buying into it, whether it's at Michigan State, the Gruff Sparty, Purdue Pete, and some of the old different logos that used to be there. The opportunities that this can create maybe for revenue from a merch standpoint and everything else, I'm assuming there's been some studies done on this, but that seems like there's a big opportunity, a big stream there for the athletic department.
Yeah, the schools that have strong mascot programs, Michigan State Sparty's a great mascot, Goldie the Golden Gopher, Brutus Buckeye. I mean, I think it's a nut in a sweater, but other people seem to like it, whatever. It's estimated that they generate between $400,000 and $1 million every year for the universities and their athletic department. So yes, it's a revenue stream, and we've already seen it. We've had some sponsorship deals related to the mascot, and we've sold a lot of merchandise here early. And I do think, and I oversee graphic design for our department, there is a newfound appreciation for retro. And I think it's because graphic design has gotten so elaborate. People are looking at like Art Deco or war era, World War II era design and all that kind of stuff as being neat, unique, sleek, well constructed in a way that maybe stuff in the 90s and 2000s wasn't. And so I think people are looking to the past for inspired design. And I think you're seeing those retro Bison shirts out there help spur interest in bringing a cool mascot back.
Well, we got just a couple more questions here, Jeremy. One, at the beginning of this, you mentioned he was reintroduced, Hoosier the Bison was, by skydiving in at Indiana for a football game. Curious how that whole thing came together, where you decided, you know what, why don't we have the Bison jump out of a plane and onto the football field?
Well, there were a couple of things that we had to do in order to make the launch of this successful. So first, we teased the idea that we were bringing it back with some graphics and video board elements that we had late last year in football season through basketball season, and with scheduled cards with Bison horns on it, that we were teasing the idea to kind of soften the ground. We wanted the reveal to be interesting and fun, and so we had a video series in the spring once we got the suit to let everybody know that we are bringing back the Bison. And then we just realized that its introduction is extraordinarily important to getting those who are not bought into the idea, and we had to do something dramatic. And we're like, well, what if we have it skydive into the stadium? And I'll tell you what, as the person who's had to kind of quarterback this initiative, I did not sleep well the night before. I'm like, what if it breaks an ankle on its way down, or the head pops off? Like, it's just like I had all sorts of doomsday scenarios. So when it finally landed and the place went completely bananas, it was a good day. I barely paid any attention to the football game after that because of the adrenal rush.
Well, Jeremy, final question. So what is the future for the Bison, and what are some of the things fans should look forward to?
Developing a routine, establishing new traditions. That already did one with a chant that's going on before the game. But and I think you have to be willing to adapt. You never know what's going to catch fire as it relates to something, and you know, we can make that. It's got 8 different uniforms, so it's able to go to a variety of sports. Everything from, you know, tennis to football. You know, like it's going to have an impact. You know, we're going to find different ways to monetize it. We got about 39 new logos that are going to be coming that could be placed on merchandise. Even some that are sports specific, like a football specific Bison, and a basketball, a baseball specific Bison. So we got a lot in the works, and we just want to make sure we have a good first year and continue to build on it.
And Jeremy, thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Live, our parting shots in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Anybody ready for a burger?
I'm State Fire Marshal Rich Miller, reminding everyone to think safety first when it comes to outdoor grilling, whether it's charcoal or gas. Never overload your grill with food. Excess fat and grease will create large flames. Grill outdoors and never inside or in a garage. Never leave a grill unattended, and always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. For more tips on safe grilling, visit the Bureau of Fire Services website at michigan.gov/BFS.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along the Dalton Shuttle. What a fun show. Talk a little football, a great trip down memory lane with the Basketball Hall of Fame, and a new mascot for Indiana. Are you kidding me? A bison? What? So now we've worked our way to our parting shot. So what do you got?
And by the way, if you missed any of that, make sure you give us a follow. @SportsLifeNow is our name on Twitter or X. That's again @SportsLifeNow. We'll have all of that posted and the entire show as well. But for my parting shot, it was news earlier this week that certainly rippled throughout East Lansing and I think beyond, as many Big Ten members paid attention to a kickoff time that has Michigan State football seeing in L.A. the USC Trojans kicking off at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, this disgruntled many different fans, as you might imagine, a game finishing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning might. But at this point, I'm starting to wonder if we're going to be this extreme or dramatic with some of these kickoff times. Here's a wacky idea. Why don't we just have a 24-hour marathon with one of these TV networks? College football from midnight to the midnight the next day. Why not just 24 straight hours of college football? Because we're already getting closer to it. Imagine what that could do, Will.
By the way, you are a sick person. That's all I got to say.
Honestly, I should have kept this quiet because somebody's taken this idea.
Yeah. Okay. Mine's a lot better than yours. That's all I got to say. Well, I'm looking at the top 25, which we all do every week, right? And you look at the Big Ten, you got the Buckeyes 1, Penn State 2, Oregon 4, Illinois 9. Then you got Indiana 22, Michigan 23, Nebraska and USC getting some votes. Okay. But then you take a really hard look at this. And how many times have we talked about major college football is really heading to a few big conferences? Of these 25 teams that got ranked, they're from the Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Big 12. Only one school, just one school, is outside that window. And that's South Florida from the American Athletic Conference. So I think that's where we are, and I think that's where we're going to stay.
Go Bulls. They got a big win over Florida.
At least they're not playing at 3 in the morning.
That's right.
Anyway, well, that's a wrap for our show noise. Thanks for joining us. And we should also know where you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. And as always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler, and our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton Shetler, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.